Okay, now it's finally time to listen for information from our Firebase database. Now we already stored a database, an instance of the database object. So now we need to store a reference to the /restaurants position in our database. How do we do that again? Database.what? Type in database dot ref, ref, that's right. And inside that method, we're going to put a quotes /restaurants. And let's save that in let's call that variable, let's save that in a variable called restaurants ref. Cool. Now once we have a position in the database saved, we can now start to either update that position, that reference, or listen. And the way we do that is we'll say, hit enter once. We'll say restaurants ref dot on, and then that is going to be a method also. And the first value we pass into on is the string value. So it's going to listen to a change in the value at that position, and then we give it a callback function. So we'll put comma, function, and then we'll pass in a snapshot. What a snapshot is it's like someone took a picture of the database at that moment, that exact moment, and then gave it to us. So inside the function, we'll say snapshot, and then we'll create the function with the squiggly brackets right after that. No, not none there, right outside. Yep. Perfect. Perfecto. Hit enter. And then we can do whatever we want with the data. So for now, all we're going to do is we're going to console.log snapshot, and then to get the information inside the snapshot with a T, we'll say snapshot.val. And then we'll use open and close parentheses and save it. And then if we restart our server down here by hitting Control-C, and then hit the up arrow key and run it again, let's see what happens when we refresh our application. Let's refresh it. Awesome. Let's go back to our server. Let's see if we got anything. Cool. Check it out. Look what we got inside our terminal. Do you notice this? Oh, nice. So I'm going to hit X, and I'm going to create a new terminal because we couldn't see it there. And I'm going to do all of this all over again so that Noel can see it. We'll type in CD first application. Don't be sorry. It's all good. I want you to learn, my friend. It's okay if you don't get it the first time or the second time or the 10th time. All that matters is that we get it. So all we did here is we created a restaurants ref to that database.ref, and then we're saying on the value change, run this function with a snapshot of the data. It takes a picture of that data for us, and then we're just console.logging the data. So as soon as someone tries to get our app, it'll hook into Firebase, it'll check what data is available, and it'll send, and we're going to send it in a second to the home.ejs. So all we need to do is hit refresh, and we'll see inside our terminal, oh, I'm not running the application, sorry. We're going to type in node server.js, and then we're going to refresh the home page of our app. Okay, the user signed in, we're good to go. And then right here, oh, check it out. Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Subway. So we get an object with all of the data at the database.ref for restaurants. If you got an error, then you probably didn't hit it correctly. That's okay, or you might not have configured your admin spot correctly. So we fixed all the errors, and now all we need to do is grab that snapshot.val data and then send it to our home.ejs page. So all we need to do is I'm going to get rid of this response.render here, and I'm going to put it inside the restaurants ref. And we're going to drop it in there. And we're going to pass the home.ejs template a variable called restaurants, or an object with a key called restaurants, and the value is going to be snapshot.val. And that are going to be all of the restaurants passed to our home.ejs page so we can do cool stuff with it. Then we're going to take all of the names of each of these restaurants, and we're going to render them in a little card that allows people to vote in that card. But the tricky part with this is going to be, how do we make sure that we update each of these restaurants with the right votes? That's the tricky part, and that's what we're going to get to probably in the afternoon. But for now, let's just render these restaurants on the page. Cool?
Cool.
Cool. So back in our home.ejs file, right above all this stuff right here, below the add restaurants, create a div inside there. Can you do that for me, Ben? And then hit enter. And then inside there, could you create an EJS tag? It's the open caret, percentage sign, and then space, percentage sign, and close caret. And make another one right below that. Now remember, these EJS tags allow us to embed JavaScript into our HTML. So here, we're going to say, now what did we store? What did we pass the home.ejs? We passed it an object. What was the name of that object? Restaurants, right? So we're just going to say space restaurants. And the thing is, restaurants is what? It's an object, right? Yeah, let's just get all the keys of that object first. I know exactly what you're thinking. So in front of restaurants, we're going to type in var data equals, or actually call it var keys. Apologize, var keys equals object, capital O, object, dot, keys, and then open parentheses and close parentheses around the restaurants. What this will do is it'll create a variable called keys, and it will store all of these keys down here in an array, so that we have an array of all the keys of each of the restaurants. So then what we can do is we can loop over, we can iterate over the array with all of those keys and print out the name of each restaurant. Now that might sound confusing, but it's not actually as confusing as you think. So all we're going to do is we're going to create another EJS tag here. And inside that, we're going to say keys.forEach. So we're going to loop over every single key in the keys array. And then we're going to give it a function. And you actually don't want to close that function there. We're going to close it in the EJS tag below. So we're going to say function. No, you're right. Yep. Function. And then we're going to pass in key. And then we're going to, end it there. And then the open, exactly. And then in the closing tag at the bottom, we're going to say, right in there, inside it, we're going to say closing, and then the closing, perfect. Now make a space in between there, in between those two, not that one, sorry, right after this, hit enter. Not quite. Right here. So we're looping over the keys inside here. And remember that restaurants is our total object, the object we get back from the database. And each of these keys is stored as this key right here. So we're creating an array of all of those keys. And then we're going to loop over each key, and we're going to print out the name of each restaurant. So we're going to type in a paragraph tag. And then inside that paragraph tag, make another EJS tag. Perfect, except this time, after the EJS tag, we're going to put an equal sign so that it actually displays inside. Oh, no, sorry. After the first percentage sign. Perfect. It has to be right after the first percentage sign. Perfect. Now hit space. And now what we can do is we can insert, we can say restaurants. And then in brackets, square brackets. And we say key. And what that should do, that should print the value of each of these keys. This is just like going into the restaurants object and saying restaurants.first_key, and it'll print Burger King. Restaurants.second_key, it'll print Chick-fil-A, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to run it, and then we're going to answer all your questions in a second. Cool? So I'm going to stop the server. I'm going to start it again. And then I'm going to refresh this page, and we're going to see if this works. Oh, there they are. There's the name of all of our restaurants. And let's see what happens if I add a restaurant. Give me another restaurant. Panera. Submit. Interesting. Did it update our page? No. I wonder why. Now, oh, we got an error here. Check this out. Can't send headers after they are sent. So we have an outgoing message that's being passed to our server, and for whatever reason, it's not rendering it. That's kind of interesting, huh? Let's try this again. Let's restart the server. Let's refresh this page. Let's see if we get that error. Oh, okay, Panera is there now. And if we look back, we have no errors. You see that? Now what's happening is it keeps listening here on this restaurant's ref. But every time it updates, we get this little error. Now watch, I'm going to update it again. Give me another restaurant.
Wendy's.
Wendy's. Cool. Wendy's. Click submit. Uh-oh. Nothing. I come back in here, and I get that error again. Can't send headers after they are sent. This seems like a trick. Let's update this to once, and let's see what happens. And then let's restart the server. Run it. I changed the on to once. And let's try it again. Let's call one more restaurant. What? Mouse. Okay, sounds good. So you still got the error? No error this time. But now, we get no error, but we're still not updating it. So let's fix that in the last video, because this video is getting a little long. But you can see we now have data being displayed to our home.ejs page. We can submit things, and next thing we're going to do is be able to vote on them. Cool?